Hey, it's Lauren. I wanted to hop on here and talk about, I don't even know what to call it. Maybe like how to keep people in your pipeline a little bit longer if you have a service that you're selling and you want to reduce the amount of seasonal work that you're doing. Feel free to stick around because I think you'll get a lot of value out of this video. This is me just kind of spitballing. It's not scripted. It's just a complete word vomit. Also, if I sound out of breath, it's because I had to run downstairs and bring my garbage cans out to the front of my driveway because I heard the garbage people coming around and I forgot to do it. So that's why. So, as someone who's been with their business full time as an entrepreneur for I don't know about the past year, like a good year at least, these are some of the things that I've learned because as you might be experiencing yourself, depending on how early in the entrepreneurship game you are, there's a lot of like micro pivots that have to happen until you find kind of like your sweet spot, right? So what I'm doing now is not what I was doing a year ago. A year ago, I was doing a lot of book marketing and book coaching. And that was kind of one of those things where I was playing around with, kind of exploring to see if that was a sustainable option for me. And the book marketing part was nice. Like it was fun for me at the time. It's not really, I feel like I've kind of evolved since then. So the interests that I have then are not the same that I have now. But at the time, I really liked book marketing and it was fun. But the problem was that not everyone always had a book to market, and oftentimes the price would be more than what they would earn back in sales. And I, of course, can't guarantee anything because marketing is so subjective and it would be unethical for me to do that. So usually I felt like I was kind of operating on a price point that felt within reason for the person that I was speaking with. And at the same time, I was playing around with book coaching, which, if you're not familiar, is helping people to write their book. And I got more business from that, but I can't say that I liked it because I don't enjoy the craft of writing. I just don't like it. I don't like sitting around thinking about how to write the next great scene. I much prefer the business of it, the marketing of it, more of like the logistics of how we're going to get this thing out into the world. That's fun for me. So that's why I enjoyed marketing. But what both of those things had in common is that they both had timelines. There was a clear start and stop. It was seasonal, I guess, is kind of what I've been calling work like that. Like someone has a book coming out, maybe they come to me 3, 4, 5 months before publication. We're going to launch it up until publication. And then from there, maybe they carry on the rest of the ongoing marketing. Maybe they hire me on a retainer to help them with that. I don't know. That last part would be really great, but it's not always a guarantee. It's not my main offer. Likewise for book coaching, I'm here at the start of your book and the end of your book. And then after that, you're on to the next stage. So back then I was thinking like, I need to think of a way to kind of keep people more in my pipeline. And going through a series of those micro pivots, I found myself doing the work that I'm doing now. And a lot of those clues that I followed, the breadcrumbs, I guess, if you will, came from people who were being referred to me. They had a book and a brand that they wanted to market. And the brand would always stay warm in order to help sell whatever seasonal thing they were pushing out. If it's a community, if it's a course, if it's a podcast, if it's a book. And so that was kind of like my first big indicator of maybe instead of marketing the thing, I market the person, because there's not a timeline with something like that. A brand is always going to be evergreen and it's always going to need marketing. So that's gradually where I started kind of positioning myself. And then as something seasonal like a book or a podcast or whatever came up, that was easy for me to bake in because I already had experience with it. So that's kind of a real world, relatively recent example of how I've positioned myself in a way that I can keep the cash rolling in without having to scramble for my next project. So the question of this video is, how do you do that? I mean, what pieces do you need to consider in order to recreate that for yourself? Entrepreneurship 101 tells us that there always needs to be a problem. You're always falling in love with the problem first, and people are buying the solution. And this problem that you are addressing with your services needs to be one that is quite uncomfortable for people. And you need to be able to do it well, do it fast, do it efficiently, do it effectively, and keep the money rolling in. And positioning wise, how can you do all of those things better than your competition? Even if there's only 1 or 2 other people, if there's 1,000 other people who do similar work that you do. In the beginning, that's where you start building up a lot of your case studies and getting those testimonials and growing some of that social proof. So you're kind of taking on whatever work you can at the time to build those things up, meaning that you're giving away a lot of value up front. You're doing a lot of discounted work. You have more time than money to trade. So that's the commodity that you're willing to give away, doing really good work for a steal. And it is worth mentioning, though, at the risk of digressing, it is worth mentioning, and I've spoken about this before, there will be people out there, whether they have the cash or they don't, who at one point or another will want to extract a lot of value out of you. And it's up to you to know when that limit is for you. I used to write a lot of these super lengthy, in-depth marketing proposals that would have a whole plan included. And then these people would be like, oh, I actually was wanting more of this. I was wanting more of that. Can you make that change? Can you do that? And then I would spend more free time working on this proposal without actually knowing if this person was going to become a client or not. So it's up to you to know what that limit is for you. And then as you start building up those case studies, testimonials, and you're getting more referrals with your clientele, with your network, it's easier for you to be able to set up those boundaries up front, or to have a minimum price point, or to start building out more of those tiers. That is when it becomes more appropriate to do that. But I realize I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to come back to the original question, which was, how do you create that sustainable work? The question that I would pose that just comes to mind off the top of my head is, what is an ongoing problem that someone has? And I was just talking with someone that I was just networking with, and they are a public speaking coach, which is really cool. And there's a lot of people out there who do that kind of thing. But as you can probably assume, there is a finite timeline that goes along with a service like that. I have a speech coming up. I have this much time to prepare. Up to, I gave my speech and it was great. Thank you for your work. I'll call you if I need anything else. I would argue that that's more of a freelancy kind of lifestyle, which if you're into that, go for it. If not, then keep watching. One suggestion I might have for someone in an industry like that doing similar work is what if you keep people around and almost act as a sort of added in booking agency or something? Hey, I will help you prepare for your next speech. And when you're not preparing for a speech, I will help you look for additional opportunities. That's a great way to keep someone on retainer. Shoot, that's like a 2-in-1. I don't have to hire 2 separate people to do that. If you can find me opportunities and help coach me on them, that's awesome. You're gradually becoming more embedded into their brand. And if there's anything I've learned about doing this for a year, it's not that long, but my experience has been very deep. If there's anything that I've learned, it's that you make yourself as convenient for them as possible while maintaining good communication, being on time, working effectively, making sure that they're seeing an ROI, that you're feeling good about the results and recommendations that you're giving. By making yourself as convenient as possible, it's almost harder to not keep paying you for the work that you're doing because you're becoming so ingrained and embedded in their brand. Oh, I really couldn't do this without you. You're saving me so much time. You're saving me so much money. Don't discount the value that convenience can have when it comes to a service. Think about walking into a grocery store. Would you rather buy a whole watermelon that you would have to cut up and chop up yourself and get your countertops all dirty for it? Or are you willing to pay a couple bucks more to have it pre-sliced in a ready-to-go package? You're kind of positioning yourself like that. So I guess really this discussion is kind of twofold. How can you keep consistent business? And also how can you make yourself a convenient option where it would be more difficult to not keep working with you? And I think the two of those things do kind of go hand in hand. I think that really just brings me back to the root question of what problem is an ongoing problem that someone is facing. And that's usually going to be a layer deeper than whatever the symptom is that they're wanting to hire out help for. So back to the public speaking coach example, I really need help preparing for the speech. That is the injury. That is the wound. That is the pinch that they're feeling. They just want to get that taken care of. They can't think 2 months from now. They can't think 2 weeks from now, or I don't know, maybe they can. But the biggest problem that they have is I need help planning for the speech. Once that pain point is taken care of, they feel good. It's not a problem anymore. Now they're relaxed. Now they have more attention to give to other considerations. Hey, what if I was able to find you some of those speaking engagements? Oh, awesome. That would be great. So that's you take care of that immediate solution. Help me prepare for my next speech. But you also pair it with, when we're not doing that, what else can I be doing to support you? So it kind of requires you to think that extra layer deeper of not just what is the immediate problem, but what can I do to help prevent that problem, or to continue saving them time, or to continue saving them money. So it does require a lot of that proactivity and that proactive thinking, because it's never just about the thing. There's usually a reason behind the thing. Think of it like going into a doctor's office. I broke my arm, or, I have this injury that's infected. Treat the injury and then talk to them about preventative care, I don't know. For another example, we could talk about, photography, I guess. Photography is literally a seasonal profession. You've got graduate photos in the spring. You've got, family photos in the fall. You've got Christmas photos in winter, or any kind of holiday photos. There is a lot of seasonal work in that industry. So maybe instead of offering a service per se, because that's what your photography business is for, maybe you have an ongoing membership or something somewhere. Someone pays $10 a month or something. And in that community or in that course or whatever, you talk about how to build up your personal brand with these poses, with these outfits, with these color theories, with these angles. Here's how to talk to a camera. And you're teaching them the skills that you take care of for them. As the photographer, you make them look good. You tell them how to pose. You get the right angle. You snap the pictures. In the moment, they might just need a really good headshot. But once they have that headshot and they're using it, I think at some point I'd really like to get more photos. I don't want to have to hire a photographer every time though, because maybe that's expensive. Maybe I don't have the budget or something for it. I would so much rather pay $10 a month or something for a photography or for a personal branding coach or for, a community that's going to tell me how I can do it on my own. Like, it's a more passive type of revenue stream, and it's going to require greater numbers for you to see some kind of bigger paycheck from that. But again, I'm totally thinking off of the top of my head, and this was just the first idea that came to mind that kind of helps prove my point. So I don't want this video to be too long. It's just meant to be a little nugget of wisdom here for you. But I guess the takeaway that I would really want you to think about, because everyone's situation is different, everyone's business is different. If you had to think about this on an individual level for yourself, it would be, what is the immediate symptom or problem that needs to be taken care of that people are coming to you with? Sell that. And then behind the scenes, once that problem is taken care of, what can you do to prevent that problem in the first place? And maybe that's your ongoing retainer, or that's your ongoing service or whatever. Some of these services are already ongoing, like life coaches or something, or therapists. There's not necessarily a clear stop and start with something like that, unless you're, going through a divorce and you just need someone to talk to during that time or whatever. But for any of those like more seasonal projects, it's worth considering, what can you do in the meantime after solving that problem that will keep people in your pipeline and will make you a really convenient resource for them. So I hope this was helpful. I just thought this was worth talking about because I've heard kind of people talk about it every now and then, people that I've networked with. And so I just thought it was worth making a video about. So hopefully you found it helpful. Be sure to check out the stuff in my description. I have a bunch of emails popping through that I need to take care of. So I got to hop off. I'll talk to you later. Bye.